Hello and welcome to this video. I do have a guest here, and if you know your prog YouTubers, even though he's obscuring his face with that mask, we can tell by the background who exactly who it is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Scott. Dude looks like a lady.
Oh, it's Andy Edwards. Unbelievable. So glad to be back on your channel, man. It's been a
Oh,
while.
well, I thought
Last
I watched you the other day, and I thought I haven't spoken to Scott for a while. I'll miss him. And I thought I've got to have a chat to him. You were being very animated, but apparently you're slightly less animated today because you're
I
suffering with a bit of the ague, as we say here in the Middle Ages in England. The
really, I don't
ague.
know what that means.
It's an
I,
old
I
English
got I
word for
got a
illness.
oh, okay. I got a nasty bout of the vid. The COVID has
Oh, not the
got me
vid.
again this time. I
So
don't like
you obviously the fact that you've got the old COVID, but you're still willing to come on here to talk to me about prog shows that you are a true prog icon, Mr.
I'm a
Scott.
champ, man. You can't
Yes.
hold me back. The only thing that's gonna stop me in the proud corner is my imminent death.
Oh, we
Once
don't
once
want
I'm
that to
past the
happen.
field.
We don't want that to happen. So I'm,
Oh
as you
yeah,
know, I'm a huge progressive rock fan. I can't think of any progressive. Bloody hell! Can you hear that?
yeah. What was that?
Well, I lived near a hospital, so there's ambulances going past. When I got the
Oh, okay.
normally I have the windows shut when I do one of these, but anyway, it makes me sound like I'm in America. That does, doesn't it?
A little bit. Although
Y-
I'm an American, I'm surrounded by cornfields. The only thing you
You
might hear
see?
are like some cows mooing or something.
Ah, you see that? I know. Well, that it's it. Anyway, I like. I can't think of a progressive rock band I don't like. Even the ones I criticize, I still like them more than all normal bands. Anything that's a bit proggy, I would like, except for this band here. And I've pulled an album out, Graaf Generator. It won't focus on it; it's too shiny. Well, you've got one in the background as well. So I'll tell you what's happened. Years ago, when my channel first started, I did the top 10 greatest prog albums. And I put Porn Hearts on there, even though I absolutely hate it, because I was trying to be objective. And I thought,
Right.
well, everyone thinks it's a great album. And I chatted to a mate of mine. He goes, oh, it's an amazing album. So I had another listen to it, and I didn't get it. And I thought, this is the only album I've ever really listened to. And I've not listened to the other ones. Now, one of my viewers has sent me this album, God Bluff, through the post, and another prog band that I haven't listened to. They sent me a Kansas album, not
No,
left,
no. Which one?
not Leftover Tour. I think it was the one before that. Um,
Bang. Song for America or Point of No Return. One of those, probably.
one of those. Point of No Return sounds familiar. Anyway,
Yeah, that
so
might be. Might be
I
better.
put the Kansas album on, absolutely loved it. Right, I knew I
Okay.
would. Vocal harmonies, virtuoso playing, a little bit funkier than the British prog bands, but still a whole bunch. I love anything with a bit of electric violin in. Loved it,
Oh yeah.
absolutely brilliant. So I got no problem with that. I know I could like Kansas, but I put this one on, and I got through to I think the third track. And I have to be, if I'm really serious, I had it on in the car and I got three tracks through. And then got back in the car a few hours later to drive somewhere else. And it popped on and I thought, I can't take it.
Wow.
I actually can't
And
take it. It's not even something that I'm indifferent to. That as a YouTuber, from a professional point of view, I could sit there and just listen through it and get an idea of it. Now, I'm very aware that a lot of people said you have to work at this band, but I have put the work in. I actually
right.
really don't want to listen to it. That's surprising because I can stick anything on in the car, anything really, and put it on. I can stick the radio on. But this is grating on me for some reason.
And I kind of get where you're coming from because I get people all the time telling me, I have a band that is, my Vandergraaf generator, and that's Magma. I just don't understand them. And people say you need to spend a whole bunch of time with Magma before you get them. And I'm thinking, I don't have that much time.
No,
I try to review new albums and, I
yeah,
do
when you're getting a bit
sometimes
older, you don't want to
ranking.
be wasting the little bit you got left on bloody
That's right.
Magma. I agree with you,
Yeah.
but you see, I have gone through the catalog. You see, I do the research There are Magma
Right.
albums I like. There's one, and it's got like trouble is when you don't know bands, you never know the titles, do you? It's
Yeah.
really funky. It's like a jazz rock
Yeah.
fusion,
That
and
might be that. Yeah, they put out a kind of almost like a dance record. What was that called? Merci,
it
I
wasn't
think.
that one. It's got these faces on the front, and it's got I think it's like
Oh,
safety
okay. Yeah,
pins.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that one. I don't know what it's called either.
Yeah,
But see,
that's a great
they just
album,
like
and
my
the
taste.
and the famous live album with Didier Lockwood on. I like see the thing with
Yeah,
Magma. I like it. It's just it goes on and on. You know what I'm
it's a
saying? It
bit.
just goes on and
Oh,
on. And with Prog, you expect something else to happen, and it never does with them. It's just like, you know, like that. And I think, bloody hell, that's on this. They'll do something else in a minute. So I know what you mean. But if I have it on, I don't mind it, but Van de Graaf Generator, I'm finding it. Oh, and I feel like my prog credentials. I don't. It makes me feel inferior, Scott. You know, I sort of, I don't know.
there's bands that are really hard for Marmite bands, right? I guess you Brits might call them. Vandergraaf Generator is definitely one. Magma. I think Gentle Giant is one. A lot of people have trouble getting into
yeah.
them, and I get it. I understand. Not all music is for everybody. But Andy, you're dead wrong about Vandergraaf Generator, man.
I know I
I
am.
grew up hearing about this band, but I did not listen to them until like around 1980, 81 when I started working in a record store. And now I could order anything I wanted and put it on in-store play and listen to any record I wanted, kind of like now with Spotify or whatnot. So I was able to really broaden my
Mm.
horizons at that point. And the first record that everyone was pointing to was that Pawn Hearts album, right? And I didn't like it. There's a sidelong epic with Robert Fripp on it. Why wouldn't I like that? It just kind of grated on my nerves. I wasn't really in love with Peter Hamill's voice, and there is bass guitar on their records, but not a whole lot. There's a lot of bass pedals and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So they have kind of a weird sound. And then if you really break it down, the later records you had Peter playing a little bit more guitar, but
Mm.
really those early Vandergraaf records, the lead instrument was the saxophone or the flute. And that's really where you got all your lead work in, and you had you know, Hugh Banton doing some stuff on a Hammond, and you know, Peter. I guess he started working with the clavinet a whole bunch, but
Mm.
where's the guitar? I mean, where's the bass guitar, regular guitar? So it's a weird band for sure. But then, somebody told me, you know what, the next album, God Bluff, is even better. Check that out. And that is where my fandom began, because I just fell in love with God Bluff right from the beginning. I think maybe it was the shorter song lengths, so that I could cut through them a little bit easier. Because let's face it, Plague of Lighthouse Keepers is not an easy listen by any stretch of the imagination. So, little bite-sized pieces of Vandergraaf Generator, I think, worked better for me. And it just seemed like they had a little bit more focus, because they took like a 4-year hiatus, technically,
Yeah, that, and
even
I
though
think
all,
this is another thing they don't seem to. I mean, a lot of those the British prog bands they emerge around about 1970, and then they kill it, don't they? So up to 73, 74.
yeah,
Whereas with Van de Graaff Generator, they seem to disappear around the key area. So and
yeah,
there's, yeah, this one has been easier for me, but like I said, I it was grating on my nerves so much that I couldn't finish it. I literally could not finish it. And I think I'm not going to say they're bad, right? And I really want to explore it. And I want to basically do this video because I want to know how many other people hate Van der Graaf Generator because
there's
I'm
more
starting
than
to
a
get
few.
to that point now. I think of it, what it is for me is that it is a weird sounding band and it's very doomy and they never seem to get out of that gear. It's like I don't mind doomy. King Crimson will do doomy, but then they'll kick up, and they do sometimes. They you sometimes get a riff come in, and when those
Right,
riffs kick in, I quite like it. It's very dark, almost Sabbathy in the heaviness,
right,
right?
for sure.
But that's few and far between, and not that
Right.
often. Now Peter
No, they're
Hamill's
not a
vocal.
riffy band.
Peter Hamill's vocals, I have to be honest. Um, I don't know if you're a fan of Police Academy, but you know that one in Police Academy that was, I think he'd taken a lot of drugs in the previous. You know the one I mean?
I saw it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
saw
know
it.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, Peter Hamill's got a touch of that about me. About is that bloke out of Police Academy?
I hear that.
You know, it's
Oh,
a
that's
little
funny.
bit like that every now and then. Now I understand that he's like using his voice in a numerous ways, and it's very interesting, I suppose. Um, but I don't like it. I must admit.
Do you like other vocalists that use their voice in strange and
Yeah, I
unique
do
ways,
normally. Yeah,
like Bjork,
yeah, I love
singer?
Bjork. Yes, I love all that. Yes, but Peter Hamill, I
But
don't
Peter
know
Hammonds
about it.
didn't click for you. What
Now,
happens?
what I want to the other then there's another anomaly here is here in the UK. Anyone my age, we used to listen to a show called the Friday Rock Show, and Tommy Vance presented this show. And it was a heavy metal show, really, but there was a ton of prog on there. Now, all his jingles were jazz rock fusion jingles. He'd had Lenny White and all this type of stuff, Dixie Dregs. And so all us metalers that were listening to, Diamond Head and stuff like that, we were getting a dose of prog and we were getting a dose of jazz rock fusion. And at the end of the year, he'd do his top tens, right? Now, the theme to his show was a tune called Theme One, and it
Yeah,
was the Van der Graaf Generator version. Now, that original tune is by George Martin. It's a great tune.
George Martin. Wasn't that like a BBC kind of thing for
Yeah,
like
like a
some of the
jingle,
news
yeah.
type
And
stuff?
it's like that. Down, 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 down,
I love
down, 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 down. It's like that's the tune. Now, I absolutely love that tune.
it.
Right. And I think when I did a bit of research, I thought, oh, well, this will be on Porn Hearts. Now, I think it is on Porn Hearts now. They've probably stuck it
It's
on.
on. Yeah, it's on my version.
Yeah.
In the U.S., they put Theme One on here, which to me makes this slightly better than God Bluff. But the
Yeah.
original version of Pawn Hearts without Theme
It
One,
didn't have it on,
I'm
did
going with
it?
God Bluff.
Yeah.
No, no.
But
But I
how
got it
can
on
they
this.
do something so brilliant as Theme One? Why? And I love the sound of it. It's the
Yeah,
sound of the band I love. I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, so there's these little chinks of light in there. Now, the other one
yeah,
that I want to chat to you is not just about Van der Graaf Generator. It's about Peter Hamill's solo career because that seems to have gone on and on. And people seem to
yeah.
be in absolute awe of this solo career. And it seems to have the roots of punk rock. He seems to be. So I understand how great they are. I'm never going to turn around and say they're a load of rubbish and I think they're not very good. So it makes me feel like I'm in the wrong.
Man, I wonder how much people's connection with punk rock might inform their opinion of Vandergraaf because John Lydon was a big fan. I know a lot of the punk rockers that I played in bands with, they would never admit to liking Yes or Genesis, but they would admit to liking Can or Faust or Amandul 2
Mm.
or Vandergraaf Generator. Those were like the cool prog bands to admit that you liked.
And that's the thing.
After,
They are a cool prog band, and I don't like them. I don't think I'm very cool. I think this is the issue. The other thing that's interesting is I love the other guy that's really influenced by Peter Hamill is Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. He it's almost like a carbon copy what Bruce Dickinson's doing, but he's doing it with a lot more sort of operatic power. But
right,
Peter Hamill has a operatic power. He's an incredible singer. It's
right.
incredible what he's doing, and he lives down. He's about an hour and a half away from here, and I've got a lot of contacts with him. I could have probably go down and interview him and talk to him, and I'd really love to do it, but I don't know anything about the band.
Yeah.
So that's partly I want to pick your brains. So, um, is Porn Hearts the first album, or is there an album before that?
Pawn Hearts is the fourth album.
Fourth.
Yeah.
So what did they do? Because I don't know. Does anyone talk about these albums beforehand?
Well, they had a basically the very first Vandergraaf Generator album was almost like a contractual obligation thing to get him off the label he was on, to put him on the new label. It was pretty much just Peter Hamill, the aerosol gray machine or whatever. And then they did a couple real good records with an actual bass player. Can you believe that? H to the E. and the least we can do is wave to each other. So then Pawn Hearts was the fourth album, and
So what are those albums like compared to Porn Hearts?
a little darker. Yeah, a little darker, a little scarier, a little more melancholy, if you can imagine, but still Vandergraaf. You can tell it's still
Yeah,
Vandergraaf.
yeah. So they're doing that type of thing. So Porn Hearts is 1970, isn't it? Is that right? Or 71, 70?
71
So if they did three albums before, when's the first album?
and 68.
So are they really breaking ground? Because there's a certain sound that we hear in 69 with King Crimson. The very first ELP album is a very dark Van de Graaff sound, I think, keyboard heavy,
Yeah.
heavy. Yeah. So are these albums really groundbreaking in terms of progressive rock history?
Oh, absolutely. But I think part of the problem was, Vandergraaf was a band that for some reason had a whole bunch of success in Italy. So I think they kind of ignored any potential audience building that they
Mm.
had in the American market. So, like I said, I didn't hear Graaf Generator for a long time. It was a band you heard about and read about, whenever I'd get a hold of an NME or, Melody Maker or some British thing. Because the American music press never talked about those kind of bands. And the American radio, we never heard prog unless it was, you know, Hocus Pocus by Focus or Lucky Man. That was about it. That's all we got. So, we really had to fight to find the music that we liked. It wasn't.
I'd love to talk to you about that. That's an interesting subject area as well because obviously these bands are growing. Obviously, there's a certain point where obviously Pink Floyd and Jethro Tull must have been big in the States. I imagine so there is a
Oh yeah,
point where it
Jethro
tips
Tull
over.
was kind of the template. You go to America, you play every city you can, and then you go back to the UK or whatever, and then you go back to America and do it again, and then you go back to America again and do it again. Just beat that American market over the head. Totally worked for Jethro Tull. Didn't quite work as well for Gentle Giant or Renaissance, who tried the same thing, but it worked pretty well for ELP and Yes. So
Yeah, and
American market.
I think the other thing with Jethro Tull is that Aqualung, which I know got played on FM radio a lot in the early 70s in the States. Is it really a prog album? Is it really that it's a rock album, really, isn't it?
It's got some elements of Prague, but I think it's pretty obvious that the two Prague Jethro Tull albums are the next two. Think it's a
Yeah.
break, passion play. If anybody wants to tell me those aren't Prague,
Oh,
they're
they're
crazy.
prog, yeah.
They're crazy.
And
So
I love all these bands. Now Van de Graaff, oh, have you got the chills?
yeah, just call me COVID Yank.
Have you
COVID.
got have you got are they dogs or cats? Because they're a bit
I love the Queen. Queen
are
Elizabeth.
they corgis?
They're corgis, my friend. Absolutely, they're
What have
corgis.
you got a corgi blanket for?
I love corgis.
You
I'm
love
gonna get.
corgis.
I do. I don't have one yet, but I'm gonna get one.
You should get one. Yes, I can imagine you with a little corgi sat by the side whilst you wax on lyrically about
Oh,
some.
that would be so
obs-
cool if I could get him to like sit in the chair
They
next
would
to
be able to do that. Yeah, maybe hold a record in their
not the
mouth,
dog. Yes,
ready.
that'd be so
Not
cool.
biting down too hard because they've been well trained.
Yeah.
So, so they do Porn Hearts, 1970. That has got a sidelong track. So we're talking that's pretty early on for a sidelong track.
It really is. Yeah. I
You've
mean,
got like
everybody wants
Atom
to.
Heart Mother, and you've I think Tarkus around about the same time. There's a
Yeah,
few.
you had a bunch of them. If you look around, I mean, you had well, even though it wasn't sidelong, you had Procol Harum with "And Held 'Twas an Eye." You had the Nice doing their
Mm.
sidelong epic. So there were a lot of people doing early versions of that sidelong epic.
Yeah.
But people who look at Close to the Edge and be like, "Wow, Yes was really on." Wow, they were way ahead of their time doing a sidelong. That was 1972. It had been done many, many times
Oh,
before.
it's an interesting story. And the other one that I find really strange is Iron Butterfly in a God of
There
Davida,
you
which
go.
is a huge long track with all sorts of, and that is a huge track, isn't it?
Yeah,
In
I love it.
America, that was a massive. So many American musicians I know love that, and it just goes on and on and on.
It does. It's too long. But
Yeah,
if you ask the average American to name a long song, it's going to be Inagata Vita.
and that's what's that 68 or something, isn't it? 68, 69.
68, I think.
And this is all ahead of its time. So I understand because this usually for me, if a band's ahead of its time, that really gets me excited. So maybe I need to focus that, and maybe if I go back to some of the earlier albums, that would be a strategy. So they do Pawn Hearts, then they follow up with God Bluff. Is
Yeah,
that
but
right?
there's a four year break in between, and I guess Peter Hamill was still doing solo albums with all the members of Vandergraaf Generator. So I don't know why he just didn't call those Vandergraaf Generator
So
albums.
the gap is between Pawn Hearts and God Bluff.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
God
almost
Bluff
five.
is
I
coming
think they
out.
had 4 years.
So you're talking 1974.
75 on God Bluff.
God Bluff 75. So basically, Van de Graaff Generator shut up shop through the glory years of Prog.
Yeah, they did. And you wonder if they would have kept doing it, like you said, from 71 to 75. That's prime time for Prague. You can't sit those years out. So I think that might have hurt him a little bit too.
And of course, every great prog band has its like masterpiece, and then the one that goes a little bit too far. Everyone has its close to the edge, following up by Tales from Topographic Oceans. You know, they all do this, or you're thick as a brick and Passion Play. Although as I get older, I start to think Passion Play is the real masterpiece.
I don't know. I love them both, man. I
Yeah.
came around on a passion play for years. I hated it, man. That hair and the spectacle thing,
Oh, I
man.
love it.
I love it now, but brother, I hated it when I was a kid. I hated it so bad. That record came off the turntable and it flew out my window. I'm like, I don't need no damn nursery rhymes going on. This is terrible. This is so juvenile. What in the world are my boys doing? And yeah, I've come around on it. I actually love that hair and the spectacles. I think it's great. I think Jeffrey Hammond is brilliant. I love how he inflects his voice, and then when the music comes in unexpectedly, it's just really cool. And it's
Well,
necessary.
the funny thing here, there's three bands for me. You've obviously got the big ones like ELP, yes, Genesis, Pink Floyd. You can stick in there. Then you've got Gentle Giant, Jethro Tull, and Van de Graaff Generator. Now, Jethro Tull and Gentle Giant are very similar, and it's Jethro Tull and Gentle Giant that are unbelievably complex. That's like the other bands don't get anywhere near. And I found it very interesting that Gentle Giant. I always think, well, they never really had the superstar level because it's just too much. It's so
Much.
complex. But Jethro Tull, it's just. I mean, things like Passion Play. That's a hard listen.
It
You
is.
know, really is something else. How ridiculously complex.
I,
I
you know,
think
I'm the guy that loves every single Jethro Tull album in the '70s. I think their '70s output was absolutely
they are the greatest. I'm starting to think it's very interesting that Jethro Tull were like a stadium level band. They had hit records on the radio, and they never made a bad album throughout the up until when. And even then, it's only
I even
because
like Under Wraps. I
yeah,
like
well,
Under
but it's not a Jethro. They stuck it out, didn't they? It shouldn't have been a Jethro Tull album.
The
But
'80s were rough for a lot of bands.
the run of albums when I did my proper analytical ranking of the 70s albums, it was really difficult because things like, Storm watches it and the ones I didn't know so well, I thought, there, these won't be that good, and then they were just as good as
Uh,
everything else. It's
Stormwatch
all
is amazing. Another one is A. People don't really take. It's got Eddie Jobson doing his thing all over it, man. What's not to like about A? I don't care that it was supposed to be an Ian Anderson solo album. It's just a really cool, different sounding Jethro Tull album,
so it's funny that we keep talking about Jethro Tull and not
right?
Van der Graaf Generator.
Funny.
It's I think it's because I love them.
Yeah.
And I can't get into this. So they take this big gap, then they come back with God Bluff. Then what happens?
Well, what happens next is they put another couple records out very similar to God Bluff. In fact, half of their next album was recorded during the same session, so that's Still Life. And then they do a world record. And then David Jackson leaves, and we bring in a violin player for the Pleasure Dome. And totally different sound. In fact, they changed the name of the band. They just call them Vandergraaf. They threw away the generator for a couple of albums, and the sound was totally
There
different.
seems to be a
Really
lot of
cool.
albums that nobody talks about. All I ever hear is Porn Hearts and God Bluff.
Yeah.
And then I thought they did about two more, and then that was it. I don't even know about this violin bit and all this
Yeah.
going on.
and then they break up, and then they come back and they do like 4 or 5 more albums, like in the 2000s.
And what are those albums like compared to?
Very, very good. Only the first one has David Jackson. Then he quit a second time. Then they followed that up. That album's called Present, and that was brilliant. And then they do some other things, and then they do an instrumental album called Alt, which it's all right, but without Peter Hamill's voice, is it really Vandergraaf Generator? And then in what year? I think 2022 maybe. The final Vandergraaf Generator album came out called Do Not Disturb. At this point, they are a three-piece. It's just Hugh Banton, Guy Evans, and Peter Hamill, but really, really great record. And you can hear the pathos dripping from it. Dude knows it's the last record. It's a farewell to the fans. It's awesome. Really cool record. So yeah, over the years, I definitely learned to appreciate this band, but it was not easy because, like I said, my first impression was Pawn Hearts, and I did not like it at all. It took a
But you
long.
like it now. You
I
like
do,
Pawn Hut.
I do love Pawn Hearts now, but you talk about bands that kind of go over the edge, maybe a little bit too far over the edge. Maybe that's Pawn Hearts. Maybe they went
Well,
too far,
let,
but
let me
reeled it
know.
back in.
Let me try and put it into words what it is. I think with Van der Graaf, it's not because it's too doomy, it's too dark. It's not. I'm not keen on the sound. I'm not keen on Peter Hamill's voice, but I could learn to love that. I understand that bit. What it is, it's just so boring.
Mm.
I like prog. You expect there to be some exciting bits. You expect there to be some weird time signatures. There might be some soloing. There might be, there might be some amazing drumming. I expect something to happen that's gonna be exciting.
I think there is a lot of what you just mentioned in the music, but it's done in a subtle way. It's not throwing over it's not over the top. Whereas, you're not going to have anything in 23/8 time on any of these records, but you do have a lot of instances where they're in 4/4, and then they'll throw in a measure of three, or they'll throw in a measure of five just to kind of mess with your head a little bit. And, that's where I think one of the things I love about this band is the drumming. I think he's an amazing drummer. I know some people think he's a little clunky, but I think Guy Evans is fantastic, a little jazzy at times. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm surprised you're not connecting with it. And then you add David Jackson to the mix with his amazing sax and flute playing. Again, kind of a little bit of a jazz overtone to some of this
I know
doom
I should be
stuff.
liking this. I should be. I don't know. So you said when you first heard it, you didn't like it, and then was there? 'Cause sometimes you could be listening to something, and I mean, I wonder whether it's the lyrics because when I've spoken to people, they seem to really be into the lyrics, and the music seems to be backing up this very depressing and doomy take. And I can be a little bit lyric blind, you know.
Yeah, me too.
And this
We're
album is
musicians, that we don't think about that all the time.
no, I'm not. I'm
That's for
not.
the lead
I'm
singer.
not. Have we got lyrics in here?
Um, yeah, I don't know if I got
Maybe I've
lyrics.
got to sit down with the lyrics.
Maybe that might help. But you did mention something about this band, and that it is very much dominated by Peter Hamill. And I can't really think of another prog band where the lead singer is so dominant over all the proceedings. Uh, it's a vocally dominated band. You don't have long instrumental sections. You'll always get Peter Hamill wailing in at some point. You don't get, any of that long exposition and variations on themes. That's not what they're doing. Uh, so again, it comes down to Peter Hamill, and I think you're right because a lot of prog guys like me and you, we don't really pay attention to the lyrics. I don't care. I really don't. People give John Anderson a hard time for those lyrics. I don't care. They sound good to me. I don't care if they mean anything. What are you telling me that some guy in a rock band is going to be the next uh, Longfellow
Mm.
or Keats or Shakespeare? Give me a damn break. Come on, they're words to songs. There's not even Bob Dylan, great songwriter, great lyricist, but come on, man, don't get it confused. It's still just lyrics to rock songs.
Yeah,
I don't really pay attention. I really
yeah. I
don't.
did certain bands like it's. I mean, it's like with Pink Floyd. If you didn't have the lyrics with Pink Floyd, it could be very middle of the road. Not the early stuff, but wish you were here in that end of the market. But the lyrics are very dark, and when you put Dark Side on the Moon without those lyrics, and I don't think anyone can listen to Dark Side of the Moon without taking the lyrics in.
Yeah,
They're very immediate. Obviously, Frank Zappa. It's the lyrics. You're always focused on the lyrics, you know. Um, I think I'm probably gonna need to sit down and focus on it. I don't think I could stick it on in the car or in the background while I'm working, which is, see, the thing is when I was a kid, I would have my albums. I'd come home and once I'd had my dinner, I'd sit down and I'd have three albums and I'd sit and listen to them, headphones on, all big speakers, loud, the dark, and I'd focus. And it's very hard to do that now,
yeah,
with certain bands. And I find now if I do that, if I actually sit down and listen, it's a completely different experience. And so I
yeah.
probably do need to listen to them in a different environment and not
Yeah,
driving around in the car.
yeah, I mean, I try to listen to music in a variety of different contexts. Sometimes that helps, like in the car or when I'm trying to fall asleep at night, or different ways of listening to music can sometimes make the experience a little bit better, enhance it somehow. And certain bands are just you've always heard that phrase, "Oh, there, what? That's a headphone album." There,
Yeah.
certain records just are better at certain things. But going back to God Bluff, I would recommend my favorite song on there uh, is Arrow.
Arrow.
It's the first song on side two,
I don't
and
know how far I got. I literally, it wasn't like a massive hate thing, but I'd had it on the car. I'd set myself a task to listen to it, and I got about three tracks in. I don't think I got to Arrow. I probably need to take one track and really give it a
yeah,
good listen, and maybe put it on again. I would love to. Even if I never don't like it, I'd love to at least have a take on it
yeah,
because when I'm chatting about stuff, it's like I haven't got any idea
right,
of where to start, or because I would never turn around and say this band's terrible because of the amount of people I know that absolutely love them, and they
right.
do seem to be a band that once you do love them, it's like it's like a almost one of a kind. They're like Prog's Prog.
You know, kind of. And you just brought up something that once you get them, you get them, and there's going to be certain people that don't get them, but the people that do are absolutely crazy for them. Kind of makes me think of Cardiacs. They don't sound nothing like Cardiacs, but just that whole, polarization thing. Either you get Tim Smith or you do
Yeah.
not get Tim Smith.
I
Simple as that.
absolutely love Cardiacs. I
Oh,
really love them, and I think I've done quite a lot of my channel to push them and talk
right.
about them because I love them so much. But I gotta tell you something: if I put an album on, I can't get through it because it's so harsh on the ear for
Wow.
so long. It's not to do
Yeah,
with
I can take it.
complexity; it's just harsh. And after a while, I start to go, I can't take this much longer. And it's all amazing. It's like one Cardiac song. If it was on any other album by another artist, you'd be going, "Oh my God, listen to this track."
Yeah.
They're amazing, but it's just too much. It's
It's
too much sometimes.
it's information overload. But
But
that's on purpose.
yeah, I think it's interesting. This list of bands, I think Van der Graaf are definitely in that. I think Gentle Giant are in there. I think Cardiacs are in there, and it's interesting to find who loves them and who doesn't love them. I have to keep coming back. I think if I'd have heard this at around about 14 years old.
Mm.
If I'd have bought the album then, I would have given it the time because so much stuff I didn't get when I first heard it, and I would put the album because I'd bought it and I didn't want to waste my money and I'd play it over and over
Oh
again.
yeah.
Things like even like Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, that wasn't an easy listen for me when I was a little kid and I first bought it and I put it on over and over and
And
it
I
was
don't think we do that anymore. And I've told the story before of, growing up, my favorite band was Yes, just like it is now. And I loved everything they did. And then Tails came out and I didn't like it. I hated it, actually. I thought it sucked. But Yes were my favorite band. I paid $10.99 for that double album. And I'm a little kid. I don't have that kind of money lying around.
mm,
I am going to force myself to like it. So I listened to it hundreds of times until I got it, until I understood it. And now it's my favorite album of all time. But who's got time to do that now?
yeah, I know. I tell you what the album for me that was Bitches Brew by Miles. I bought it and absolutely hated it. It just sounded like they were fiddling around for hours on end. And I kept looking at it and I was thinking, John McLaughlin, Larry Young, Joe Zawinul, Wayne Shorter, Chick Corea. It was like everybody I
Herbie.
loved. I loved all that stuff, and I kept thinking it can't be bad because all of these wouldn't be doing this, you know. But
Yeah.
and I can remember I just listened and listened and listened, and I ended up focusing on just the drums and the bass, and I started to realize, oh, there's two bands going on here, or maybe three. And you could choose which one you listen to. And then I realized, oh, there's like a James Brown band in underneath.
Who played drummer on
Focused.
Bitches Brew? Was that Tony?
Well, they've got three drummers. So on you've got I think it's Jack DeJohnette. You've got Lenny White's on there,
Oh,
very young Lenny
yeah,
White.
yeah, yeah.
And there is sometimes not Don Elias, who is it? There's a percussionist that sometimes it could be Don Elias actually. Also, Billy Cobham was on the sessions, but they never use any of his takes
Hmm.
on the actual British Brew album. He's on the Big Fun sessions. Um, And then you've got three keyboardists, Chick Corea, Joe Zawinul, and who else is on there?
Herbie
It's not
or
Herbie.
Tuck on
Maybe it's
there?
just two keyboardists. It's like a lot of those 60s bands like Ornette Coleman and Coltrane, they almost have got two bands going on at the same time.
Right.
And it's the interplay between the two bands. And you could sort of focus in on it. But and I'm just wondering whether there's something with Van der Graaf Generator. But no, it's not jazz, it's prog. And so I think it could well I'm gonna have to sit and read the lyrics. I think it might be
I think you
that
might be right.
I gotta because you've said something that I think has made me realize why I don't like it. When I'm listening to him, I just want Peter Hamill to stop.
Yeah.
It's like I'm thinking, oh, this is all right. I don't mind this. It's the
I,
track started up really good, yeah. Because Prague, they all sound weird when they sing. There isn't one that doesn't sound weird, But at some point they stop, don't they? And then the band kicks in. Van
yeah.
der Graaf
Not Van de
never
Graaff.
kick in. They never
Yeah.
kick it. And I know on the Lighthouse Keepers, the long one. There's a couple of moments that are absolutely brilliant in that. But it's like they're few and far between. It really kicks in, and there's a really dark riff comes out,
Yeah.
and it's I don't. Then there's nobody singing, and they seem to be, really. It's yeah. I think there's too much singing. He just
Yeah.
never lets up.
Yeah. They're a vocal group. They're
But
a
it's not
vocal.
like a verse and chorus. It's just never ending singing.
Yeah. And you brought up how Peter Hamilton influenced other people. You mentioned Bruce Dickinson, but have you ever listened to the American band Discipline?
I've heard them, yeah, once or twice, yeah, yeah.
There's a guy who sings a lot like Peter Hamill. A lot. Apparently, after they did their first album, he got hold of Pawn Hearts and changed his whole singing style. So,
Yes, it's
very
interesting how
influential.
it's interesting. You know that when I was young, I had quite early on, probably, when in my teenage years, I had Exposure by Robert Fripp, and that album's got Peter Hamill on it, and I loved him on that. So I can't even say that I didn't like his vocals, or I can't say I didn't hear him when I was young. I thought he was great. I remember thinking, "Oh, this Peter Hamill's great." I must go check out Van der Graaf Generator. Never did. Can you tell me a little bit about the sort of Italian following? Because this is very interesting, isn't it? That
And
they 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 seem to. Was this Porn Hearts around about that time?
yeah, I think Pawn Hearts and perhaps the album that preceded it, they did a tour in Italy, and for some reason they just connected with the Italian audience. Apparently, radio had picked up on their music, so they were hearing Van der Graaf Generator in Italy, and they just were getting these enormous crowds in Italy. I believe a couple of their albums actually hit number one in Italy, which is just insane for British band. But it's interesting how very precious little of Van der Graaf Generator I hear in Italian Prague. Given how big they were, I hear
Mm,
more Jethro Tull and Genesis and Emerson Lake and Palmer in most Italian Prague. I
yeah.
don't hear I don't hear a lot of Van der Graaf Generator, but you would think you would because they were huge there, and it
And
was
and and some of the I mean PFM did like English language albums, didn't
yeah.
they? Did that happen with Van de Graaff Generator? Did they do anything for the
They
Italian
should have.
market?
They never did an Italian album. That would have been cool. But yeah, I mean, just the whole idea of Italian bands doing English versions of their albums. Boy, I didn't like it in the 70s. I still don't like it. I think you should sing in your native language and let the chips fall where they may, because that's what you're most comfortable with. I know PFM did it. I know Banco did it. I know Leorme did it. A whole bunch of these bands were doing these English versions, trying to break into the US and UK markets. PFM obviously at the forefront because Greg Lake signed them,
Yeah.
so there was this synergy, and PFM played the US a whole bunch. They played the university circuit, played colleges around the country, and you know, they came close, but they had to do the English language stuff, and it wasn't as good, so it didn't work.
There's a couple of other questions I've got about the band. I'm trying to remember everything I wanted to ask you. So the next question, why did they stop and go away?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, Peter's still very busy. He's still doing stuff. So I don't know why Vandergraaf Generator. I don't think they officially called it quits. I think they're on a hiatus. So maybe one day we'll get more, but it doesn't look like it.
So what are the Peter Hamill albums that he's making through that period? Are they proggy?
Yeah, very similar. He had the Silent Corner and the Empty Stage. He had Chameleon. Uh, he had Nader's Big Chance, which actually is more of a punk rock
That's
album.
the yeah, I like that album.
I love
That's
that album. It's
yeah,
so
I think
cool.
it's really really interesting and it is very punky, but it's
Yeah,
also not at the same time. I think that's about 74, isn't it, that album?
I think
It's
so. Yeah,
yeah, I see I like that album
yeah,
and I think it's because verse and choruses, it's not just like never-ending Peter Hamill. I think I know what it is. It's the never-ending, little bit like almost like musical theatre. Can't stick that either. I tell you that there's uh, my kids we got a DVD once back in the days when we watched DVD and it was called Into the Woods and it was a Sondheim film. Right, and we sat down, and after about an hour of them singing continually, I ripped the thing out and smashed it up.
uh-uh.
I couldn't take it. I can't take just be singing going on and with no tune. Just that's what I don't like about it. I bet you if I could get into the studio and mute a bit of the sections and just get rid of the voice, I'd probably quite like it.
Probably because there's actually a lot going on there. They're a different kind of prog band. They are very unique. There's certain bands that just they kind of created their own style, and they almost seem to be immune to everything else going on. It's like they were one of the few prog bands not influenced by Yes or Genesis or ELP. They were just doing their own thing, and
Oh,
that
what
to me is why I love them.
now I know that obviously Fripp was a fan, so there
Yeah,
seems to be a link up in sound between Fripp and Hamill, and there's that shift in King Crimson with Locks, Tongues, and Aspic, where I think Fripp realised the game was over for prog. I've never accepted the punk. Punk came along and took it away. I think the prog bands already knew. You could see it with everything because it was a form that was expanding. You get to the point you go, well, we can't go bigger than this now. We can't do bigger than Lamb Lies Down or Tales from Topographic
what do you do?
Oceans.
What do you do from there?
Yeah,
Really? I mean, you have to completely tear it down and rebuild it, and that's what you started seeing from like 1975 on.
yeah, and and I
That,
find that's really interesting. Now here, oh God, I've gone all. How long have I been blurred for? The bloody
oh,
camera,
very making me
you
look
know.
good.
I just switch that on, and then when it comes back on, I should be right.
There you are.
And I'm very pale. I got a white background.
You're pale. I'm all red from my.
From the
I got
COVID,
like
yeah.
102-degree fever, something like that. Sweat
Oh, I do feel
big.
sorry for you.
Oh man, it's not good. This is my third bout, and it's the worst by far. But that's okay, man. We're tough. We can take it.
Yeah, if you can listen to Van
Uh,
de Graaf Generator, then you can put up with a bit of COVID.
Absolutely, for sure. But I'm really appreciative that I was invited back to your channel because last time we did something together, we were embroiled in the fake internet feud, and I'm just surprised how many people fell for that. Again, I really am.
Yeah, the fake feud was fun. I got to be honest. As time has gone on, I've started to realize how fickle this is, and feuds and arguments. That's the thing that it thrives on, and it works. I mean, we got so many views off it, so many people are following it. The reaction videos are incredible. And most people knew we were joking, but I think people like to get involved in it, and it was really was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I do tend to court controversy. I can't help it. That's the way I am. I've always been
Well, I
like
think
this.
that's why people like your channel. You speak your mind. You're not, you're not pulling any punches. If you feel a certain way, you're going to say it. Even if, oh, God forbid, it might make you look, oh, Andy Edwards is a racist. No, just because I
Well,
have a different way of looking at
when I
something
was
doesn't
doing
make me,
that wasn't
you
so
can't put me in a
bad.
box like that.
I tell you what it is. I tell you that one of the things, it's like not right. I will tell you this now. I will unequivocally tell you this now. I am not pro Trump. I think he's a narcissist. Right, I think he does everything to boost himself up. He wants to come out with this like the best CV that any man's ever have. He wants to be the greatest man that's everybody. Nobel Peace Prize, first man in space. He wants everything, and
Yeah.
that's what's driving him. He's not driven by a want to do good, right? But I still can't wholesale just buy into absolutely hating him, and so the Americans, if you that lot are so I mean, last month I lost 5,000 subscribers over the Charlie Kirk thing, and I wish I'd never
Hold on.
said anything. I wish I'd
Hold
never
on.
said anything about it. You know,
How many? You lost how many?
5,000.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Over, it's like
I did one video a couple weeks ago, how I really feel about America. And I felt bad because I lost like 100 subscribers on
a
that.
hundred, yeah,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
said what you thought. And the
But I
thing was,
said what I
I
thought.
watched that and I thought it was great. And I thought, I mean, this is really interesting chatting to an American because I totally respect your politics. I know they might not be exactly like mine, but I don't feel chatting to you that there's any reason for me to react in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I'm very interested by it, and I'm
Yeah.
sure I'd love to talk to you from your point of view because in the UK, you know, we're seen in America in a certain way, and so it's very interesting the power of America, the power of the America viewership, the fact that it is a different country, and I've got a funny sense of humor, and then I just will talk politics because I'll talk whatever I want. If I'm like now, I didn't plan this, we haven't planned this, we've just got into it, as we're having the general bin YouTubers chat. So, and I have got a little bit more serious about it, and now I've come to the conclusion that the best strategy for me is just to keep stating the fact I'm not on anybody's side. I really am not on anybody's side at all, and I'm not pro-Trump in any shape or form.
Well,
And
but
I actually
um,
think he's the president. You deserve him. Your country deserves him in a way.
but the reality is that Americans are very divided. We're very polarized right now, and it's very difficult for any Democrat to ever give Trump any credit. Just like it was almost impossible for a Republican to give Obama or Biden any credit. I try to be the voice of reason, man. When Trump does something good,
Yeah.
if he's saying something I like, that's fine. He has to take some credit for some things. I mean, it looks like maybe he might have just brokered a peace deal between Gaza and Israel. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and I would unequivocally say that I think he's done it because he wants to go in the history books as doing it.
Yeah,
But he's still done it. And the other thing with him that is he is getting things done. You might hate it, right? But there's something going on. Whereas so many politicians recently have just done nothing. You think, well, what are they actually doing except doing speeches? And so, but yeah, the whole politics things, it's very frightening.
yeah,
And I know people are coming into our, they want some, it's downtime. They don't want to hear politics. They want to hear people chatting about old progressive rock albums and jazz rock fusion
exactly.
albums. And I get all that. But for me, it's like I've always been very, very involved in music, and I can't see the point in being into music if you don't see it having a bigger meaning than just the music. I think it's like it's emblematic of how you live your life, and I'm an artsy fartsy creative type,
Yeah.
and that's what I am. And so I'm a very big free speech guy. I think everyone should be allowed to do what they want to do, say what they want to say, and I believe that art and music is a way for us to put our arms out and sort of give the world a big hug, bring people together. That from different backgrounds. We need to become more tolerant, not less tolerant at the moment. We need to really,
We
and
do.
I think music's the perfect thing to do that. It does bring people together. So, and I think it's an important job, and it's an important job to keep these bands alive.
Oh, absolutely. It's my mission in life. I do a lot of work with newer bands and, the current bands and stuff like that, just because, I got a big heart and
Mm.
I like to help these guys out. But let's face it, my audience wants me to talk about Yes, Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, King Crimson, Jethro Tull, Gentle Giant, Camel, Vandergraaf Generator, Renaissance. That's about it. So when I venture into other territory, I do so at my own peril because I know exactly what's going to happen. And you know what? That bothered me at first. Like, oh no, I lost a subscriber. Oh no. I couldn't care less now. I'm at that point now where the channel's been around long enough
Yeah.
that I've built my audience, I've got my people, and you don't like it too bad. There's plenty other YouTubers you can watch. Plenty others.
Yeah, I think the secret of doing a good YouTube video is that the thumbnail and the title need to say what you're going to do. So this one will be about I don't get Van de Graaff Generator. Scott's going to try and chat to me about it,
Oh,
and,
so
and hopefully that's something. And this video is not a big viewer. This is like this is the esoteric prog video for the
right.
proper fans that want some deep prog chat.
Sure, and
Uh,
you know which episodes are gonna,
I
hit
know which I could do big viewers all day long,
you do.
but I actually think if I would lose the hardcore fans, they're more important.
Yeah,
In the end, this will blow over, and I will be left with that
that's
hardcore
right. Yeah.
bunch of fans, and I really believe that. And if I'm not delivering it for them, then I'm not doing my job. So I do try to spread it out. Sometimes do some. I mean, I'm a big chant. I'm getting bigger because I'm way beyond prog. Mine's like sort of comedy
Yeah.
takedowns of people. Right, and I've actually got good at that, and I could do those all day long. And I tell you something, I could do the same video over and over again.
Oh yeah. I
It,
have.
because I'm improvising, I could start on a rant about anybody, any artist you like. I could do one about Van de Graaff Generator now,
Oh yeah.
right? And people would laugh and they'd find it funny. And I've got the material. I've tried a little bit out here with the Police Academy.
Well,
That
that's
bloke.
that's the magic of the Andy Edwards channel is that you can take something that should probably only be like a 10-minute episode, but because you've got so much to say about it, it's going to be an hour. And you're glad it's an hour.
Well, it's like the way I see it is you got your thumbnail, you got your title. When they first arrive, you have to deliver what you're saying. So
Yeah.
we've done that. Now, some people have switched off, but the ones that are still here, now they're into a realm where they go, and we don't know what we're going to talk about, and we don't know what we're talking about. And I believe every video should have that at the end. It should always run on, and people will go, I'm here now, and you've pulled me in. And now so what would be great on this video actually would be for you and me to tell each other a secret about ourselves, whatever it is. I mean, you've got a whole bunch because you're like bloody jailbird and the whole lot, and you've been very upfront about all your coloured past. It's unbelievable. I can't believe I'm
That's
talking to someone of such, as such a criminal,
I'm a
sort of
felon.
this.
I'm 1, 2, 3-time felon, Andy. Three. Yeah, not just
But
I am so lucky I wasn't living in California where they have the three strikes you're out.
oh, they did, didn't they? Yeah.
I'd still be in prison. I'd never be getting out.
What was it like in prison in terms of your safety?
Um, I was really scared the first couple days. And then I realized that I helped my brother pass the Florida bar. So I could use some of that while I was in jail. So I kind of became the jailhouse lawyer.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest dudes in the pod, he was like 250 pounds, pure muscle. He was on a murder rap. He asked me to write a motion to suppress with the court. So I wrote that out. I went to the law library, and he goes to court, comes back. He gave me a big old hug. He's like, "Man, they dropped all the charges. This white boy, anybody touch this white boy, I'm gonna kill you." And from that moment on, I was like gold in there. Nobody touched me. I was what they
So
thought I was.
that's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, I give you the respect because it seems like you went on that. You got in there for bloody nothing, from what I can
Nah,
tell.
I didn't
Ridiculous.
care. I was going through a divorce. I lost my wife. I lost my job. I lost my house. I lost everything all at the same time. So then all this legal stuff happened. I'm like, just lock me up, dog. I got nothing out here anyway. Just lock me up. I'll be better when I get out. And
What about going in the showers? I mean, I've watched bloody, the one with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, Stir Crazy. I've watched it. I know what happens. What was
I
that
got to work.
like?
Hey, I figured a workaround. While the rest of the pod, the rest of the unit is out on yard doing their recreational stuff. That's when I take my shower.
Ah, so you wouldn't go in when all the
Yeah, I'd be alone. No, I don't want to be showering up with Bubba. No, 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 not my
And what
thing. But
and
it
how
was
long were you in for, Scott?
18 months.
Bloody hell, that's a big stretch, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And what was it like when you came out?
Very
Was it
disheartening.
amazing to be out? What's it like when you first walk out the door? Like the Blues Brothers when Jake comes out and the brother meets him, and they
Nothing
go,
like that. I had $30 in the shirt on my back.
"Wow."
And I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go. So I took that $30. I went to a pawn shop. I bought a cheap ass guitar with the case so that I could open up the case, start playing on the street corner. People started throwing in money. So I got enough money for a hotel that night. Did it for a week or so. And I was able to, build my life up from there. But yeah, literally, I had nothing when I came out.
And
So
what
it was
and
really
what
frightening.
and what was the life lesson out of that? What would you say you came out of it? Are you glad it happened? Do you
Yeah.
think you'd be a different person if it hadn't have happened?
Oh yeah, yeah, I'd be dead if that didn't happen. The level of hubris, the level of ego that I had inside of me, it was not healthy. Something bad was going to happen, so it needed to happen. And I think subconsciously I knew that, and I think that's why I gave up. I'm like, just every time I go to court, I tell the judge, hey, just do with me whatever you want to do. Don't care.
When
Don't
you were
care.
in prison, did you have any talks to any murderers or rapists or whatever about Prog?
No, not
No.
once. Remember, I was in Miami, so we
Yeah.
could talk about Pitbull or Gloria Estefan, but nobody knows anything about Prague down
Oh,
there,
that would have been a brilliant story. You're in
right?
there in
I
the
was the only
shower.
white. Hey, I was the only white guy in there. They're all Hispanics and blacks.
Oh, they don't like the prog so much, do they? The
Yeah, I don't know
Hispanics
about
and
the Prague.
black. Nah, it's a
It was like,
shame. Oh, it's
uh,
very interesting. Well, I mean, I got nothing to compete with that, but I think as it's my channel, I don't need to offer that much about me. I can't think of anything like that
fewer
really.
people know you already.
I've not even been arrested for anything. Never, not even. I'm not. I don't think I've been done for speeding.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
That's about it. What else? Not. I'm a very clean living young man.
Yeah. Well, that's me now. I mean, now I'm
Yeah.
married, living in this tiny little town in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, working for a small newspaper and staying out of trouble. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything. I haven't been to a concert in probably like 3 years. I don't go out. I don't do anything. I don't
Mm.
go to the movies. We hardly ever go out to eat. I just stay in the house with my wife, listen to music, do YouTube videos, stay out of trouble.
Well, the thing is, it is a blessing to do YouTube videos. I do absolutely love it, and after all these years of doing it, I still get excited the fact that I'm going to do it. I get still excited uploading them. I love to see them. I think the reason why I started doing ones every day was just because I just love to know that one's coming out, and then you go to bed and I check in and go, oh yeah, that's doing
Oh
well.
yeah,
That's good.
you're in your YouTube studio checking your analytics out.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You're totally right. I have softened a little bit. I'm not so worried about getting the views now. I don't want to get number ones, and have the little fireworks coming
Yeah,
out. I'm
number
not so
10. Yeah.
I'm not fussed about that. I'm concentrating on. I had a bit of a crisis a few months ago. I didn't know what to do, to be honest. I was running out of ideas. I actually think I've got the best ideas I've ever had at the moment. I think I'm on a roll. And I keep finding I can't contain the amount of ideas I've got at the moment for things. So
Oh yeah.
um but I think I've changed in that I see it as an ongoing thing now. I see that there's a following and that people watch it every day. And so if I really just wanted to be sat in the garden, having a cup of tea and just going, oh, well, it's nice today. I could do that if I want. I don't, or I could do a big epic with lots of, research and stuff like that. So I think once I clear my head out of what I think I should be doing, I come up with a lot more ideas.
Yeah.
So um
I just wish I had more time because I've got a notebook filled with episode ideas, and I just go through it and what do I feel like doing today?
Yeah.
Oh, this
Well,
one sounds good.
there's got to be a certain point with you that you can make some money out of it and that you don't have
Yeah,
to do. I mean, you must be making some at the moment.
yeah.
So,
I'm actually doing all right. I'm making around 400 or 500 a month.
yeah.
So add a zero at the end of that, we're in business.
Yeah.
But that's just me messing around 5, 6, 7
Yeah.
hours a
Well,
week.
that's where
Nothing
I'm at.
more interesting.
I think I'm around about $4,000 a month. So this is totally my job. I have to get up in the morning and it is like a treadmill and I
Yeah.
can't stop it. And
Yeah.
the reason why is I've got 1,200 videos up now. When I'm looking at them, they're all around about the 40, 50,000 mark, even ones that were not that popular. So a lot of people are discovering them. There's a lot being watched as a whole. And then because they're an hour long, there's a lot of adverts in them.
That's a lot of
And
opportunity. Yeah.
I haven't done that. I think in hour long videos, it's like that's the way I think. I imagine that someone sort of gets their tea on, and then they stick me on the background. And a lot of the time, I think I'm just in the background. That's what I
Yeah.
think is. And these interviews, I always do quite a long interview, you see, like this, and I always like to just chat at the end.
Right.
People can switch it off if they don't like it, but I think
And
it
if they
should be
don't,
there. I mean, we're just chatting like mates now. We're not doing a YouTube video anymore. We're
no,
just
and we
chatting.
certainly aren't talking about the topic of this video, which of
Well, we've
course is
done
the
it. It's done
bandcamp.
now. That was done half an hour ago.
Exactly.
This is
But
special features now.
the one thing that definitely surprised me the most when I started the YouTube channel, Andy, was just how many people said, I don't watch your videos. I listen to them. It's like
Exactly.
a podcast almost. And I'm like, what? You're listening to them, but you're not watching. It's YouTube. It's a video. And that's why they tell you audio is more important than video
It
quality.
is, it is, and I know, and so I will do it every week. I'll do a lot of them that are just chatting, but I also like to upturn the apple cart because I know there's other things that can happen. I've just got a green screen and I've been experimenting with
Oh,
that,
cool.
which is quite interesting because it means I can sort of be on the beach and then on top of a
Right.
volcano. And I'm always having a lot of I mean, on Sunday, I phoned up God and had a conversation with God. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was
I,
brilliant.
I've
And then
been
he
sick last
manifested
week.
himself in my studio. It was brilliant. And we sang an ELO song together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which one?
Don't Bring Me Down.
Nice.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't bring me. It is called "Don't Bring Me Down." It sounds seem like that's the
Well,
only problem. The only problem I'm having with YouTube is the older I get, the more fuzzier I'm getting in terms of. I've got this recall of information,
oh, yeah, you
and
do.
if I'm on a roll, it will all come through. But as soon as I think about it, I lose the whole lot,
Yeah.
and I'm having to utilize that to go and try and use it for comedy at the moment.
Yeah. No, I see your brain working. When you start going off on a tangent, you can actually look in Andy Edwards' eyes and see the little gears running. It's crazy, man. It's entertaining. It's fantastic, and that's why you have the success that you have had on YouTube. It's not magic, right? It's not luck, right? It's not you have friends in high places. It's that your content's great. That's it. If
I
you
have
can,
got friends in high places
well,
now
yeah, you do.
because
But people.
I've got Rick Beato on the side.
That's right. That's right. But people
Five and a
say,
half million subscribers.
what's the secret to YouTube? Don't suck. Put
Yeah,
out
do
videos
something
people
that
want to
people want to
watch.
watch.
Yeah, that's it. It's not really all that complicated. So, if you
The
break it
amount of
down to that,
times somebody will go, "Oh, I want to do a YouTube," and ask me some advice, and then 2 weeks later, you think, "God, it's taken 2 weeks to do this video," and you got somebody there, it's like this, and they're going, And so Genesis after Trespass, then Phil,
Oh,
it's
you're
like
the
that. And you think,
correct.
what are you doing? You've got to be animated. You see, the thing, I tell you, the whole reason why I got in touch with you, I was watching one of your videos. And then at the end, when you go into the whole snakes thing, and I thought, Scott's the real deal. Because Scott, even if you haven't really enjoyed the video, or it's not something you're into, he's still off his head. And it's like,
Right.
oh, that's what I love is a little bit of that, a little bit of
That's right.
personality.
Well, I was always taught, Andy, save all the hits till the end of the show. Save all the hits till the end of the show, and everybody wants to see the snake dance.
Well, you
So,
finish us off then, Scott. I think
you know
I
it.
think we've got
Oh,
you.
yes, indeed. This
That
has been an outstanding episode, Andy. I thank you again for inviting me. And
hang on
this
before
time,
you do it. Before you do it,
oh, let's see. There we
there
go.
we go. You finish it off for
Double.
me.
Double me up, man. This time I'm on the program without even having to like pretend I'm angry with you or I dislike you or something, which obviously was never the case. But thank you so much. Vandergraaf Generator rules. Andy Edwards rules. I love you guys. Peace in the Middle East. Free Tibet. Free the Ukraine. Free your mind. Free beer. Free Willie and God. Save that king, Andy. Oh, that cotton picking king could use your saving. Oh, yeah, bring him to America. Oh, I don't know where he could land, but I say bring that boy to Ohio where I can do spells and incantations, thoughts and prayers. Then you know what we're going to do, Andy Edwards? We're going to get that boy to dance with some snakes. Oh, yeah, King Chucky's dancing with them snakes. Woo, yeah. Oh, them rattlesnakes aren't going to get us, Andy. And got good old American pastor, and I got the armor of God on me. Nothing going to stop me. I love you guys. I'll see you. Peace. How was that?